You are welcome to today's Thrive Recovery Academy. I am so excited to be here. You are so welcome. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's Friday and it's a very good day. Today's topic is a very, very interesting topic. We'll be talking about, let me say something to you that may change how you see life right now. Are you failing? Are you being you are being rebuked? It feels like lost. It feels like delay. It feels like embarrassment. It feels like watching other people move forward while you stuck cleaning up pieces. But what if? What if? What if? What if feels like failure? It's actually reconstruction. It's actually rebuilding. It's actually trying to make you be better. What if this season isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? Stay with me on this because I'll be taking you on a journey right now. Because today, we are not going to polish what failure is. We are not going to romanticize what failure is. We are not going to make failure look beautiful. We are all just going to understand what failure is. We're going to look into the psychological effect of failure. We're going to look into the emotional effect of failure. We're going to look into the spiritual effect of failure. And by the end of this, you will not look at your setback the same way you did before again. Why does failure feels like an identity debt? Why does failure feels like an identity debt? Hello, everyone. You are welcome to this channel. I am Nurse Obi. I am a mental health and addiction recovery advocate. I am also trying to bring awareness to what life is and addiction is recovery is. You are welcome to this channel. If you are new here, you can subscribe to this channel. You can share this video. You can comment on this video. You can give us your feedback. We'll be happy to have them. Thank you so much. Let's go further. Why failure feels like identity debt? Why does failure feel like identity debt? Failure doesn't just hurt your results. No, it does not. It attacks your identity. When something collapses, when a relationship collapses, when a business collapses, when a plan fails, when a dream fails, your brain does not just process the event. No, it does not. It processes what the event means about to you. And the most of us interpret failure as I am not enough. I am behind. I should be further. I am disappointed. I am always the one that is always at the back seat. I am ruined. As a nurse, let me explain something important. Your brain is wired for survival, is wired for safety, is wired for survival. Yes, because of the way the brain has been trained, the brain is always ready to make us safe. It is not self compression. When something fails, your nervous system can interpret it as a hot to status, belonging, or even security. And the brain treats social rejection and failure almost like physical pain. So when you say to yourself, I am hot, that is not dramatic. That is neurological. But here's the mistake we make most times. We equate failure with finality, like it's the dead end, it's the end of the journey. That's what we equate failure to. We think collapse means conclusion, but in construction, demolition comes before renovation. When you have a house and you want to renovate the house, you would demolish the house before you can renovate it. That is what we are talking about today. We are talking about how we can feel safe even with failure and how we can rebuild from where we fail. How does rebuilding requires dismantling? How do we rebuild from when there's failure or when there's a breakdown? How do we rebuild? Let's talk about rebuilding. If a structure has a weak foundation, you cannot just paint over cracks. No, it's just like you have your house, let's say probably your kitchen, and a part of the kitchen has cracks all over. And then now you would feel like renovating the house and you feel like making it more beautiful or more appealing or more homely. And you'd be like, okay, I just want to paint this house. You cannot just paint on top of the broken wall. No. You have to strip it down. You have to strip it down. You have to either strip it down or you patch it. Sometimes that version of you that failed was built on proving yourself, performing for approval, fear of rejection, perfectionism. That version of you could be as a result of people's pleasing. That version of you that fails could be as a result of avoidance. It could be as a result of ego. It could be as a result of insecurity. Failure exposes all this. Not to shame you, but to show you what cannot sustain the next level. There's a difference between destruction and reconstruction. When you destroy something, you leave that thing empty. When there's a destruction, it leaves you empty. But here's the thing. When there's a reconstruction, it leaves you stronger. Reconstruction is loud. It's uncomfortable. It feels like lost before it looks like growth. Have you seen where they are reconstructing a road before? Or possibly where they are reconstructing a house. You see the engineers, they break down, they destroy those things. At that time, when the road or the house is being destroyed, you feel, why are they doing this? They are making us lose our road. Why are they doing this? They are making us lose our house. But the good thing is, by this time they start reconstructing, you start seeing the beauty start coming out. You start making meaning to the destroyed road or the destroyed house. At the beginning, it may feel like loss before it starts looking like growth. What is that ego breaking process? Let us be honest to ourselves. What is that ego breaking process? Most of us are too egoistic. We have egos. Sometimes what failed wasn't your destiny. No, it was not your destiny. It was your ego. And ego does not mean arrogance. Ego is not the same thing as arrogance. Ego means the version of you that needed control. That version of you that needed to look successful. That version of you that needed to be validated. That is what ego is. That version of you that humbles you. It focuses reflection. It slows you down. It makes you ask better questions. Questions that are not, how do I win faster? But who am I becoming? That is the ego breaking process. Who am I becoming? Not how do I win faster, but who am I becoming? Growth that doesn't reshape your identity is temporary. That growth that does not reshape your identity is temporary. I am moving. I'm moving faster. I am just going. I am successful. But it's not reshaping who you are. It's going to be for a temporary moment. When you are being rebuilt, your capacity is expanding. And the expansion requires stretching. It requires stretching. You cannot just be on one side, just folding your hands and then you expect to be reconstructed or to be rebuilt. No, there should be a level of expansion. It's just like a very tiny person going to the gym. He wants to rebuild his muscles. As days goes by, months goes by, and he's consistent with the process, you find out that he starts developing abs, muscles on his arm, his shoulder is getting broader. That is rebuilding. That is the rebuilding process. When you are being rebuilt, your capacity is expanding. And expansion requires stretching. Stretching feels like tearing before it feels like strengthening. At the beginning, when this guy starts gymming, it feels like he is tired. He's always tearing up. He feels exhausted. But as he's going consistently, he begins to build strength. He begins to build strength. He begins to build strength. And the more he's building strength, he's beginning to like it. He's liking it the more. That is what rebuilding is. What is that neuroscience of resilience? Let's go deeper into this particular section. When you experience failure, your brain creates a new neural pathways. If you avoid the pain, you reinforce fear. But if you face it, it processes it, and it adapts to it. You build resilience circuits. So when you try to avoid this particular pathway the brain is trying to create, you will begin to go back to your failure setback. But when you process it, when you allow it to process it, you begin to adapt to it and you begin to build resilience. And the more you are doing it, you build resilience. The more you are doing it, you build resilience, and it becomes a circuit. Resilience is not personality. It is trained. It's a skill that is trained. It's a trained response. It's a trained response. Instead of us falling back to our habits or why don't we respond positively? We need to train resilience. Every time you recover from disappointment, instead of collapsing into shame, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are rewiring your brain. Failure is not a stop sign. Failure is not a stop sign. If you are here, just type in failure is not a stop sign. It is not. It is not the end of the road. It is not the end of the road. It is a rewiring process. The question is, will you interpret it as identity debt or identity development? There are two things. Would you interpret failure as an identity debt or an identity development? If I was you, I would interpret it as identity development. Yes, that's what we need, identity development. So how do we relate this? You can remember in the Bible, some of the most powerful rebukes in the scriptures began with what looks like failure. If you can remember vividly, Joseph was betrayed. He was in prison. If it was Joseph of now, he'd be like, why am I going through this? Why am I suffering? When I dreamt that I'm gonna be standing when the rest of my brothers and everybody will be bound down to me. Oh God, you showed me in the dream that I'm gonna be a king, I'm gonna be a leader. How come I'm now in the prison? He was betrayed. Why are my brothers selling me out? He was in prison, even in Potiphar's house. They took him, they died against him, and they took him to prison. He was in prison, but at the end of the day, he became the number 2 in command in Egypt. He became a leader. So that prophecy that was prophesied to him earlier, that dream that he dreamt earlier, it came back to him. Why? Because he built resilience. Another example, Peter denied Jesus. Even when Jesus told him that upon you will I build my church, he still denied Jesus. But at the end of the day, he became the foundation to the early church. Another person, David. David was anointed long ago by Samuel. He was anointed long ago by Samuel, but he failed several times. He was not put to the throne. He was not crowned long. It took him a very long time before he was crowned as the king. In each of these cases, there was a breaking, but the breaking was not the end. It was a training. It was a training ground. In the book of James, it says, trial, proceed, perseverance. There's always a trial before perseverance. Perseverance produces maturity. Maturity produces completeness. Growth is subsequently. Is subsequential, sorry. Yes, it's a sequence, step by step. That is growth. You grow from one step to another. So growth is sequential. You cannot skip the middle. No. You cannot microwave development. If you are in a breaking season, it may not mean you are disqualified. No. If you are in a breaking season, and I say that again, it may not mean you are disqualified. It may mean you are being prepared for the weight your old identity couldn't carry. It may mean you are being prepared for the weight your old self, your old identity, your old person couldn't carry. What are the signs that you are being rebuilt? What are those signs that you are being rebuilt? Here's how you need to know you are being rebuilt instead of defeated. You are more self-aware now than before. Another way to which you will need that you will use to know that you are being rebuilt is that you see patterns you ignore. You can now see patterns that you ignored before. You are less impressed by validation. You are questioning your old habits. You are uncomfortable but not hopeless. Rebuilding feels disorienting because of the old you is failing away. But the new you isn't fully formed yet. And that is in between space. That is when the in between space feels like failure. It is not failure. It is a formation period. It is not failure. It is formation. How do you participate in your rebuild? How do you participate in your rebuild? Rebuilding isn't passive. No. You have to participate in it. It is active. And here's how you can participate in your rebuilding process. Number one step, you have to stop labeling the seasons of rain. Stop labeling your seasons as rain. You have to reflect instead of react. You have to reflect instead of react. That's two. Number three, you need to identify what the failure exposed. Identify what the failure exposed. Number four, you have to separate your what from the outcome. You have to separate your what from, the outcome. Number five, you have to stay consistent in those small disciplines. Stay consistent in those small disciplines. Small disciplines rebuild confidence. Consistency restores trust in yourself. You don't rebuild overnight. You rebuild daily. You don't rebuild overnight. You rebuild daily. If you feel like you are behind, if you feel like you are behind, if you feel like you feel embarrassed, if you feel like Everyone else is advancing while you are recovering. Listen carefully. You are not failing. You are being rebuilt. The version of you that emerges from this season will not need the validation of the old fashioned craved. I'll say that again. The version of you that emerges from this season will not need the validation the old version craved. You will not fear the rejection the old version avoided. You will not collapse under the pressure the old version couldn't handle. You are not behind. You are under construction. And construction zones are messy, but they are evidence of development. Do not quit in the rebuilding phase because foundations aren't glamorous. They are not beautiful, but they are determined everything. Foundations are not glamorous, they are not beautiful, but they determine everything. They determine everything. And when it is finished, when foundation is finished, it won't just look good, it will look excellent and expedient. It will look very beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. You are not failing. You are just under reconstruction. If this resonates well with you, please subscribe to this channel, share this video, like, comment on this video, and let us know your feedback. Thank you so much for having me. I am Nurse Obi, and it is my pleasure to be here, and I will see you in my next one. Thank you so much, and God bless you.